So like I said, today we're going to be continuing to look at division. Today we're going to be looking at dividing 4-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers. Okay. So today some of our answers are going to be 2-digit, some are going to be 3-digit, some will have remainders, some won't have remainders. So there's a little bit of everything here. So we're also going to be using the same the same strategies or same steps that we've been using. Okay. So it's the same stuff. We're just using bigger numbers this time. So let's take a look at A. We have 4,859 divided by 23. So if we set this up inside our division house, remember our first number is going to go on the inside. So we have 4,859. I'm actually going to take out that comma because that can make it a little bit harder to read sometimes. And then 23 is going to go onto the outside. So we're going to start by looking at what to divide 23 into. So 23 can't go into 4. 4 is too small. So I'm going to put a 0 above my 4. So let's try 23 going into 48. 23 can go into 48. That'll work. Perfect. So you can use, there are kind of 2 different methods that you can use here. You can continue using that estimation method to give you a starting point, or you can kind of guess and check. You can pick a number that you think might work and then multiply and check. So I'm going to try that since that's a different strategy. So we're going to look at 23 times 48. So I'm going to start with 2. I'm just going to start with doubling it. I get 46. Well, that's pretty close to 48. I think I'm good there. So I'm going to take my 2 and put it above the 8 and then subtract. When I subtract 48 minus 46, I get 2. What's my next step? What do I do now? Do I stop here or do I have something else to do, Naomi?
Can you hear me this time?
I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So you drop down the 9.
The 9 or 5? We're not quite
sorry,
9
5.
yet. That's okay. But you're absolutely right. We're dropping down our next number. So we're going to drop down our 5. And now we're going to divide 23 into 25. Well, 23 is pretty close to 25. So I think I can probably only get 1 out of there. So I'll put a 1 over my 5 since that's the number that we just dropped down. And I subtract again. So I subtract 25 minus 23 and get 2. And now I drop the 9. And I have 29. Well, I'm not done yet because 29 is, I can still divide here. So 23 into 29, again, I'm only going to be able to get 1 out of that. I subtract 23 and get 6. So my final answer is going to be 211 with a remainder of 6. Okay. All righty. So let's take a look at B. So B, we have 4,368 divided by 52. So we can set this one up. And let's kind of start going through this. Can we divide 52 into 4? Is that going to work? I see Damien's giving me a thumbs down. No, that's not going to work. So we're going to put a 0 above the 4 since we can't do that. What about 52 into 43? Can we do that? I see Naomi shaking her head. I agree. We can't do that either. So we're going to put a 0 above our 3. So then we have to start with 52 into 436. Okay, we can divide that. So I'll leave it up to you. I want you to either use guess and check, or you can estimate and figure that out. But I want you to continue on with this problem. And I will start kind of working through it slowly in just a moment. I want you to start working through this one on your own now. And if you get to a final answer, go ahead and type it into the chat. All right, so I'm going to start kind of working through this now. So I'm starting to see a couple of different things. So let's see. I'm going to use the guess and check, and I'm going to start with 4. Okay, so that's not quite enough. So let's try doubling it. That's closer. There we go. So our 8's going to go up to the top. We'll subtract 416. And we get 20. We drop our 8 down. Then we continue on. Well, I already know from my first guess and check that I can get to 208. So that's going to give me 4. So 4 times 52 gives me 208 exactly. And I subtract and get 0. So my final quotient is going to be 84. Okay. Let's take a look at C. C, again, I'll have you guys do this one completely on your own. After a couple minutes, I'll start working through it. So if you get stuck, you can take a look at your screen and get yourself unstuck. If it helps you to put the zeros in so you know where to put your number and your quotient, then do that. And when you get to a final answer, type it into the chat. Awesome. Thank you, Damien. Damien, I want you to check that last number. So look at kind of the very end. Good. Thank you, Andre. Andre, go ahead and start working on D, okay? There you go, Damien. Go ahead and start working on D. Good, Savannah. Go ahead and start working on D. Good, Jenny. Go ahead and start working on D. Awesome, Lily. Go ahead and start working on D. You're absolutely right, Lily. All right, so for C, you should have gotten 213. For D, I'm going to start going through that really quick. Let me actually rewrite this a little bit nicer. So 45 can't go into 3. And 45 can't go into 31. So we'll have to start with 316. So I'm going to try multiplying by 5 and see where that gets me. Not quite close enough. So let's try 7. There we go. That's closer. We subtract and we get 1. We bring down our 4. And 45 can't go into 14. So that means we put a 0 over the 4. And since we're out of numbers, that 14 becomes our remainder. So our final answer here should be, oops, I don't know why I wrote a 3 there. That should be a 7. Goodness gracious, Miss Ike. So our final answer should be 70 with the remainder of 14. All righty. So I don't think we're going to have time to go through another one. So that's totally fine. So This is where we're going to stop for today. Take a look at independent practice really quick. So for independent practice, you have 2 pages. You have one page that has 2 just standard division problems. And then you have 2 word problems. Okay, so you only have 4 questions today for independent practice. For our secret word today, it's our last kind of Thanksgiving-y word. It goes with turkey. It's what you do to your turkey after you cook it. Before you eat it, you carve it. So that's going to be our last secret word before our break. All righty.